Have you ever come across a villain whose argument, vision, and ideals are so tempting that it leaves you conflicted? These villains challenge our heroes physically and sometimes morally, and they act as an obstacle that the heroes need to overcome. They are the ones that cause our heroes to push themselves further and evolve. Hello and welcome back to Movie King, where we bring you the best movie-related content. For this video, we will be ranking the best Marvel villains to ever appear on the screen. And for this list, we will only be looking at characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and not in the comics. But if you want us to rank the best Marvel villains from the comics, make sure to leave a comment down below and let us know. If you are new here, make sure to hit the red subscribe button and turn on the notification bell icon to be part of our notification squad so you don't miss out when we drop new videos. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Before the entry of Thanos, Marvel had quite a reputation for not making quality villains. Yes, Killmonger and Loki are great villains, but they still lack a crucial ingredient that villains need to have for being the best. With all that kept in mind, we will be ranking the villains based on how relatable and memorable they are and how well their schemes played out. Number 10. Obadiah Stane, Ironmonger. He might not be the best Marvel villain on the list, but we have to give credit to the one who started the entire franchise back in 2008. Obadiah Stane was the business partner of Tony Stark and a good friend of Howard Stark. Driven by greed and corporate power, Obadiah Stane did everything to take over Stark Industries. His motivations aren't exactly inspiring, but it is understandable for a person to do horrible things driven by greed. When Tony revealed that he was going to stop producing weapons at Stark Industries, Obadiah, in a desperate move, conspired behind Tony to create the Ironmonger armor. When he finally succeeds in making the suit, he wears it for the final brawl against the Iron Man, in which he not just lost the battle, but also his life.
It's just fate that you survive that. You had one.
Number 9. Johann Schmidt, Red Skull. Red Skull easily stands out as one of the most original and terrifying villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He is the former head of Hydra, and his thirst for power led him to use the Super Soldier Serum on himself, which severely disfigured his face, earning him his villain name, the Red Skull. The serum also granted him physical powers, but assisted him in going toe-to-toe against Captain America. Eventually, Schmidt found the Tesseract and used it to make weapons and tools strong enough to conquer the world. He might not have been as complex as the other villains on this list, but his comic book's accurate look and act certainly left a mark on the fans. Number 8. Ultron. Ultron signifies how innovation and technology can be our greatest scourge. Ultron left his mark on the screen with his wit and personality that closely mirrors his creator, Tony Stark. After the Battle of New York, Tony, with the help of Bruce Banner, tried to create artificial intelligence that would help maintain peace across the world, but ended up creating the worst version of himself. Ultron, right after his creation, gained sentience and gained the ability to evolve and build. What makes Ultron so compelling is his egomaniacal beliefs that make sense in a twisted kind of way. His belief that humans and superheroes are what makes the world such a dangerous place leads him to commit horrible acts to wipe out humanity to give it a chance to evolve. He makes such a great villain because, although he was defeated, his actions would cause trouble to the Avengers even after his death and eventually caused the Avengers split.
I wondered why only you two survived Stryker's experiments. Now I don't.
Number 7. Helmut Zemo. The thing that makes Helmut Zemo such a great villain is because he is just an average guy that does not have plans for world domination. He is just a man who is out for revenge after losing his family. Helmut Zemo was a former colonel in the Sokovian Armed Forces, and he lost his family in Sokovia when the Avengers were fighting off Ultron. He blames the Avengers for this, and he knows that he cannot fight them head on, so he turns into a terrorist and pitches a plot to turn the Avengers against each other. In Civil War, he plans to frame Bucky and gathers information to achieve his ultimate goal of breaking up the Avengers, which he succeeds in doing and manages to break the team from the inside. Even though he was finally caught, his understandable motivations prove that one does not need Thanos-like powers to defeat the Avengers.
I'm sorry about your father. He seemed a good man. With a dutiful son.
Number 6. Adrian Toomes, Vulture. In a universe full of people with continent-busting and world-crushing powers, the Vulture is basically at the bottom of the food chain. But this is what makes him so compelling. The writers change his backstory from the comics to be the father of Spider-Man's teenage crush. After the Battle of New York, he worked at a cleanup company in charge of cleaning up the battle debris until Tony Stark's own cleanup company took over, leaving him unemployed. He then went on to steal alien tech to sell on the black market. Vulture is one of the most relatable villains on TV, as he is just a businessman trying to support his family in a quickly evolving world. Another thing that makes the character so likable is that he refused to give up the name of Peter Parker in jail as a way of showing gratitude for saving his life in their final battle. Who doesn't love a villain with morals?
Hey, Pedro.
Number 5. Hela, Odin's daughter. Hela is the first major female Marvel villain. With her extremely commanding presence, she won the hearts of fans all over the globe. Hela is the goddess of death and the firstborn of Odin, and was once Odin's executioner. But she was banished for her enthusiastic bloodlust. She made her appearance in Thor Ragnarok after the death of Odin, and wasted no time in defeating the entire army of Asgard by herself. She also destroyed Thor's hammer and beat her 2 younger siblings in an instant. In a desperate attempt to defeat Hela, Thor made the ultimate sacrifice of leaving Asgard behind after bringing back Surtur.
To be honest, I expected more.
Number 4. Bucky Barnes. Bucky was the loyal friend of Captain America. But Bucky fell from a train on a mission and was thought to be dead. But he survived, only to be captured and brainwashed by Hydra. And in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, we learn that he was used as a hitman for decades. Captain America finally helps Bucky regain his memories and quit life as a tool for Hydra. The introduction of the character into the Marvel Cinematic Universe brought a whole new challenge, Captain America, which he had to overcome. Number 3. Killmonger. Killmonger has the origins of a hero, but he chooses the wrong path. He is the Black Panther's direct counterpart, which makes him a great villain for the Black Panther. Killmonger directly challenges the ideals that T'Challa believes in. Killmonger was the son of a traitorous Wakanda prince who was killed by the previous Black Panther, the father of King T'Challa. He was left in the outside world to fend for himself, which motivated him to push and train himself into peak physical strength. He is driven by his goal to dominate and empower their brothers by supplying them with weapons. He addresses a serious issue of racism, and it is because of his ideals the final fight between T'Challa and him is so impactful.
I gave you a key, hoping that you might see it someday. What did you find?
Your home.
Number 2. Loki. There's a reason why Marvel chose to keep Loki around as a recurring villain in the Marvel Universe. Tom Hiddleston is so good as his role as Loki. The fans immediately fell in love with the character. He is the most calculating, manipulative, and the most charismatic villain of the franchise. The God of Mischief truly lives up to his name with his fantastic screen performance. The thing that makes him so attracted in the eyes of the audience is not because of his sick schemes for domination, but the fact that he is an anti-villain who wants to prove his worth and be better than his adoptive brother Thor.
This usually works.
All performance issues, Not uncommon. 1 out of 5.
Number 1. Thanos. Ah yes, Thanos. Is there anything that needs to be said about this guy? He is the main villain of the entire Infinity Saga, and his arrival was being teased from the beginning of the franchise. And oh boy, he sure did not disappoint. The thing that makes Thanos a great villain, unlike the others, is that he is not driven by greed, power, or dominance. Instead, he is driven by his sick sense of righteousness, and people who are driven by a false sense of morality, and those who think that their actions are for the sake of the greater good, make the best villains, because in their eyes, what they do is right, and that is precisely what makes Thanos such a great villain.
You're not the only one cursed with knowledge.
Alright folks, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like and hit the subscribe button to stay tuned for more amazing videos.